Okay, so today I'm actually going to be talking about one of my favorite shows, which is Seinfeld. This is season 1, episode 1, titled Seinfeld. Okay, we're going to get into this, but before we do so, do not forget to leave a comment down below and also like and subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Okay, so first off, we started as Jerry. He is on stage doing comedy. Okay, he's telling some jokes, talking about a joke about going out and coming back and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now we get into the actual show. So in this show, he was usually started out with comedy. The actual show Seinfeld would play, and then he'll put in some comedy throughout, whatever, of him on stage, and then rest of the show comedy. Then we're closing it out. So that's usually the setup for it. Okay, so he is at a diner, and Jerry is talking to his homeboy George, played by Jason Alexander. And he's talking about this purple shirt that he got on, whatever. He's talking a mess about him. Then George starts talking to the waitress, saying like, oh, I can't be having regular caffeinated coffee. I need mine to be decaf, and just being, Madonna about it. And she's just like, yeah. I got it. She was just like, I'm not even in the mood for you. So Jerry starts talking to George and says, I got this woman that I'm talking to. He's all googly eyed by her and was like, oh, it was like, oh, that's so sweet. And he said, this is what she said to him. I had to come to town and maybe we can hang out together. And George is like, she ain't into you. He's like, yo, dude, yes, she is. Look, she sent me a message saying that she's coming to town. And he was like, yo, she said I had to come in town. So if she did not have to come in town, she would not be in town. Oh boy. I.e., she would not be hanging out with you. Like she said, hey, I decided to come into town, so thus I'm going to go and hang out with you because I miss hanging out with you. It is, I have to be here, so I guess I got to see you. So he's over here saying like, nah, you're backup, you're plan B, you're just a contingency. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then Jerry, he's like, man, I don't buy it. But I gotta go get my laundry. Can you come with me? And George is like, I'm not coming with you to do your laundry. He's like, come on, dude, just come with me and get my laundry. He's like, fine. So they head to the laundromat, another scene. So Jerry is still convinced that this lady's into him. And George is like, dude, she's not. Okay, hurry up and get your clothes out dry so I can go, because I don't want to be here anyways. Okay. Then he starts having this conversation with him about how you cannot over dry clothes, because once it's completely dry, it's dry. He said, just like you can't over wet something. He said, once it's wet, it's wet. And there is and they're having a little banter. And there's a black lady to his left behind him. There's a white lady. And they're both looking like, this fool crazy. I was cracking up. So then we cut to him at the comedy club telling jokes. And he's talking about laundry. He's talking about losing socks. And, the laundry day is the most exciting day for laundry and all that, for clothes. So now we cut to Jerry's apartment. He's watching TV. He recorded the Mets. And he's like, okay, I'm watching. It's like 1 a.m. And then Kramer, his neighbor, comes in. He walks in his apartment. He's like, oh, man, these mother lovers, they lost. And he's like, dude, I didn't want to know that they lost, dude. What are you doing? He's like, well, I thought you knew. He's like, no, I avoided human contact so I could watch it myself. So he's like, whatever. He said, what do you want? Kramer comes out. He has like a robe on. He pulls out 2 pieces of bread. Bruh. He's like, you got any meat? I'm thinking, dude, you ain't got no meat up in your apartment? You coming all the way over here asking me if I got meat up in my apartment? He's like, just go to the refrigerator. He goes in there and makes a sandwich. Kramer is a moocher, y'all. This fool just mooching. He reminds me, well, I guess Lynn from Girlfriend reminds me of Kramer from Seinfeld, because all he does is just come over here and makes himself comfortable, which he does. He starts sitting down on the couch, got his, about to put his feet up. He over here reading a magazine and doing all this other stuff, and he rip it out the magazine. He's like, dude, this ain't your crib. This ain't your magazine. This ain't your meat. What you doing here? Okay. And, Jerry was like, whatever, dude. He's like, you could come here tomorrow if you want, whatever. Then he was like, well, I thought I wasn't supposed to be here. And then he was like, I don't think that lady's really into me. But then he gets a call. And it's like, okay, ring. Who's calling Jerry? Jerry gets a call from the woman. Now, mind you, these are booty call hours. This is like 1 a.m. Okay, so what you calling me for? This girl calls and she's like, oh, can I stay at your place? And then he was like, oh, yeah. I'm thinking free lodging. Okay. So this is the next day in the apartment. George is helping Jerry bring in a new couch. Okay. And he was saying, Jerry was like, yeah, she couldn't find a decent hotel. She asked if she could crash here. And George is like, she couldn't find a decent hotel. Like, I don't know about that. I think she may want to, if you know what I mean, And then, Jerry's like, I don't know if it's like that. I just want to be comfortable. Kramer comes in. And he's over here like, well, what is all this? And they tell him, he's like, nah, you shouldn't be giving her an option to go to sleep somewhere. He's like, no, your bed is the only. And I'm like, dude, he's being a gentleman, unlike somebody else. Okay. So, George over here saying, don't clean the bathroom because this is your natural habitat and all this. I'm like, y'all giving him some bad advice. Okay. Oh, you see that George and Kramer are having like this weird, they start having like this weird interaction. Kramer's like, yeah, you're in real estate. He's like, yeah. He's like, you do commercial? He's like, well, not there yet. He's like, well, when you do, let me know. And it's like, Kramer, you ain't got no money. Okay. Kramer ain't got no money. So then we go to the comedy room. He's talking about cotton balls as a joke and all that. So now we head to the airport. Okay. Jerry, he's like, why is it so difficult to know what a woman is thinking? George giving him bad advice as usual. Okay. And all that. He's like, well, when with the certain hug, if she hugs you like this and leans in, that means she wants you. But she gives you a little pat, that means she don't want you. And if she holds your hand like this, that means that she likes you. But if she does it like this, then she doesn't. And this girl comes out. She comes out of the plane. She's like, hey, as her hands shake. And Jerry's like, what does this mean? And George's like, heck if I know. We skip over to Jerry's apartment, okay? Him and this lady who her name is Laura. So she sits on the couch. She's getting all extra comfortable. And I'm like, okay, girl, what you trying to do? She's like, oh, well, could you hand me some wine? And, it's too bright in here. Can I just turn the lights off? And he's like, oh, yeah, you could do it. Yeah. She's like, oh, do you mind if I stay one more night? He was like, yeah, you could do it. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, this is so nice. And he's like, what would you like to do? Is there anything that you would like to do? And she's like, I would love to go on those 5-hour boat rides in Manhattan. Oh, it would be so great. And then he's like, yeah, that sounds exciting. I'm like, what the heck? So she then gets a phone call. This girl, she's like, oh, we're just going on a boat ride. She's like, yeah, it's what happens when you're engaged. He was like, you're engaged? She's like, yeah, I'm engaged. You just see all the shock and disappointment all in his face. And he's thinking, I don't even want you in my crib. I honestly would have been like, yeah, I know I said you could stay here, but nah, I didn't know that's what was going on. I don't want to get involved in any mess. Your fiance comes over or whatever. I'll be like, yeah, you just gonna have to go. Oh, but it is nothing like that. He doesn't mind. Yeah, that's nice. You're gonna have to go. So I don't know when you're trying to do it, but you can't stay here tonight, boo. Sorry. Okay. So then we just go back to the comedy area that he's at. He's telling his jokes and he's over here saying how men only want women and was saying like, they are so desperate they don't know how to approach women and stuff like that, saying like honking and catcalling is their idea of a good time and that's just what they do. Okay. So essentially this is my spoiler scene by scene discussion of Seinfeld episode 1 season 1 Seinfeld. Okay. Let me know if you guys have enjoyed Seinfeld. Have you even seen it? Was it something that you watched during your childhood? Have you recently watched it? Let me know down in the comments down below.